If you're over 50 and still apologizing for having standards, taking up space, or simply existing on your own terms, this video will change how you show up in the world. Because confident men don't apologize for being themselves. They apologize when they've actually done something wrong. There's a difference. Here are 7 things that mature, self-respecting men never feel guilty about. 1, they never apologize for their standards. Lowering your standards doesn't make you kind, it makes you resentful. Confident men have figured out something that takes most of us decades to learn. Having high expectations isn't cruel, it's necessary. They don't apologize for wanting quality friendships, respectful treatment, or excellence in their work. They've stopped accepting mediocre effort from others because they feel bad about expecting more. They don't lower their bar to make other people comfortable. If you consistently show up late, they stop inviting you. If you don't respect their time, they stop giving it to you. If your work isn't up to par, they find someone who delivers. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity. They've learned that when you accept less than what you deserve, you train people to give you less than what you deserve. And after 50 years of life experience, they're done with that lesson. They know their worth isn't negotiable, and they don't apologize for acting like it. 2, they never apologize for taking care of themselves first. They put their oxygen mask on first without guilt. Confident men have learned that self-care isn't selfish, it's strategic. They prioritize their health, their mental well-being, and their basic needs without feeling like they're stealing from someone else. They go to the gym, even when their partner wants to stay in and veg out. They eat well most of the time, even when everyone else is reaching for a second slice. They prioritize sleep because they know burnout helps no one, even when there's more work to do. They take their vacation days instead of playing the martyr at work. They figured out what most people never do. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't be strong for your family if you're falling apart. You can't lead effectively if you're burned out and resentful. So they take care of themselves first, not because they don't care about others, but because they care enough to show up as their best selves. And they do it with awareness. They don't just disappear or expect others to pick up the slack. They communicate, they coordinate, and they take ownership of their responsibilities. They don't apologize for having needs, but they also don't treat those needs as more important than everyone else's. 3, they never apologize for not being available 24/7. Their availability isn't a public utility, it's a choice. Confident men understand that just because you can reach them doesn't mean you should be able to. Their phone isn't a leash, their time isn't public property, and their attention isn't a renewable resource. They turn their phone off during dinner. They don't respond to texts at midnight unless it's an emergency. They have hours where they're simply unavailable, and they don't explain why. They've learned that being constantly accessible doesn't make you more valuable, it makes you less respected. And when someone expects immediate responses and gets upset when they don't get them, confident men don't apologize. They set the expectation. I check messages twice a day. If it's urgent, call. They've realized that teaching people to respect your boundaries starts with you respecting your own boundaries, and they don't feel bad about having them. If you're getting value from this so far, please support the channel by liking the video. Thank you. As always, I appreciate it. 4, they never apologize for being selective about events and obligations. They don't show up out of guilt, they show up with intention. Confident men have stopped attending events they don't want to attend just because they're supposed to. They've quit the obligation treadmill. Birthday parties for acquaintances, work events on weekends, family gatherings that drain them. They evaluate each one and make conscious choices. They RSVP no without 3 paragraphs of explanation. They skip weddings where they barely know the couple. They don't go to every retirement party, baby shower, or neighborhood barbecue just because they were invited. And this isn't antisocial. This is intentional. They show up fully when they choose to be there instead of showing up physically while checking out mentally. They'd rather be genuinely present at fewer events than fake smile their way through a packed social calendar. They've learned that saying yes to everything means saying no to what actually matters to them, and they don't apologize for protecting what matters. 5, they never apologize for changing their mind. They don't tie their identity to past opinions. Confident men know that changing your mind isn't weakness, it's intelligence. They've lived long enough to see their views evolve on politics, relationships, career, money, and life itself, and they don't apologize for growth. They used to think that working 80 hours a week proved their worth. Now they think balance proves their wisdom. They used to believe certain things about success, marriage, or parenting. Then they learned more, experienced more, and updated their thinking. When someone points out they used to say the opposite, they don't get defensive. They say, yeah, I learned something new. When their political views shift, they don't pretend they never felt differently. When they change career paths at 55, they don't justify it with a sob story. They figured out that consistency for its own sake is just stubbornness with better PR. Growth requires change, and change requires letting go of who you used to be. They don't apologize for becoming wiser. 6, they never apologize for not fixing everyone's problems. They care, but they don't carry. Confident men have learned the difference between supporting someone and enabling them. They care deeply about the people in their lives, but they don't feel responsible for solving every crisis, managing every emotion, or rescuing everyone from the consequences of their choices. When their adult child calls with the same problem for the 5th time, they listen, but they don't write another check. When a friend keeps complaining about their job but won't look for a new one, they offer encouragement, but they don't offer solutions or allow themselves to be stuck in another conversation loop about it. When their partner is stressed about something they can't control, they provide comfort, but they don't take on the stress themselves. They've stopped being the family therapist, the friend group's ATM, and the go-to guy for everyone else's emergencies. They'll help when it's truly needed and when it's actually helpful, but they don't volunteer to be anyone's emotional support animal. They've realized that constantly rescuing people doesn't help them. It just makes you tired and makes them dependent. They care enough to let people handle their own problems. 7, they never apologize for their past mistakes. They don't run a permanent apology tour. Confident men have made peace with their past. They've failed at things, made bad decisions, hurt people they cared about, and fallen short of their own expectations. They've learned from it, made amends where possible, and moved on. They don't live in permanent shame. They don't keep relitigating decisions they made with the information they had at the time. They don't apologize for their career they chose at 25, the marriage that didn't work out, or the business that failed. They don't carry guilt about being an imperfect parent, son, or friend. And when someone brings up an old mistake, they don't crumble. They acknowledge it if it's worth acknowledging, and then redirect the conversation to the present. They've done the work to forgive themselves, and they don't need anyone else's permission to move forward. They know that shame is just guilt that's overstayed its welcome. They've learned what they've needed to learn, changed what they needed to change, and they're done apologizing for being human. Here's what all of this adds up to. Confident men over 50 don't apologize for being fully themselves. They've spent decades learning who they are, what they want, and what they won't tolerate. They express their needs clearly, protect their energy fiercely, and make choices intentionally. This isn't about becoming selfish or inconsiderate. It's about becoming honest with yourself and others. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and attention are finite resources that deserve to be treated with respect by everyone, including you. And if you're ready to stop apologizing for existing and start living intentionally, you're ready for the next level of self-respect. And at 50 plus, hey, it's about time. Please like this if you found it helpful, and be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification for more content like this. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.